What's up, guys? I got some upcoming stand-up dates I want you guys to hear about. Every Wednesday for the rest of the year, I will be at Smasham's Burger Bar on Wednesday nights, starting at 10 o'clock. We do comedy bingo. It's a great time. It's a comedy open mic. Anybody who wants to sign up can sign up. As the comics are on stage, we hand out bingo cards. If they say something from one of the squares, you get to check it off. If you get a bingo, you get to turn it in for a free drink or a free order of fries. So come check us out. That's on Morgan Ford, right here in St. Louis, Smasham's Burger Bar. So check that out. On December 6th, I will be at a Christmas party in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I am not fully sure if it is open to the public or not yet, but I'm plugging it just in case it is. On the 7th, I will be back in St. Louis at Apotheosis Comics, the South City Comedy Series, your comedy showcase, I guess, on Grand. Come out and see that. There's a bunch of good comics on that list, on that lineup, and I know it's going to be a fun time. December 12th, I will be at Smokes and Jokes. They're doing a casting call for... they're starting a new thing to highlight St. Louis comics. So come out to that. You're going to see not only me, but some of the best comics in St. Louis are going to go, and they're going to be kind of auditioning for our shows in the future. So you're not going to want to miss that. On the 14th, I will be in Quinlan, Missouri with my good friend Wes Shatley. He has been on the podcast before. He's a good guy, good comic, but he's putting on something. So if you're in that part of the woods, literally, come hang out. I can't wait to see you there. And then January 26th of next year, I will be on the Best of the Midwest Showcase at Westport Funny Bone. My good friend Chris Oliver and Jack Wright and a bunch of good guys and gals who've been on the podcast before, and they're good St. Louis comics all over. Also, make sure you follow me online, ER Comedy, on all platforms, all social media. Most of the shows that I'm getting these days, sometimes I find out about 36 hours in advance. So make sure you follow me online, because sometimes I'm doing shows and I pop up in random places and you don't want to miss out just because you didn't know. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Best Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Russler. Joining me this week is my good friend Chris Sear. He's a comic based out of St. Louis, but he travels all across the country doing clubs and colleges. Everywhere that you can find comedy, you can probably find Chris Sear. But we had a great time. We talked about the Gilmore Girls, medieval torture devices, TV hospitals, and all kinds of stuff. It was a great episode. We had a lot of fun. I know you're going to enjoy the episode. Check it out. So I started doing this thing where I read the best comments of the week.
Yeah.
And most of them are pretty bad. Most of them are pretty negative.
Yeah, that's a rule for
yeah, of course. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But I appreciate it. So I thought I'd start off. This is from @thewitchking852. All right, there was my dyslexia playing up a little bit. I was like 5'8". Okay. @thewitchking852. So baseball is for nerds because they track stats? ? Exclamation mark. What's QBR, comp percentage, TD, interceptions for a quarterback? They're a football guy, ! I just can't get over how hilariously dumb this statement is.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, well,
you came in hot for a guy with a number in his username.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I didn't know the leader of the Nazgul was a nerd. No, the only stat that should matter to me in sports is win and loss.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Once you start getting into touchdown, interception, completion percentage, points per carry or yards per carry, and blah 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 blah. I saw a stat the other day that I was watching a game with my son, and the announcers were so pleased to say, like, some running back had the highest points or the highest number of yards per carry in the month of October of anyone since O.J. Simpson. And I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Did the team win or did they lose?
We're just
because all of
inventing
that
stats.
means nothing. That means nothing to anyone. And I can't stand. So yeah. I you're right. What about all of those? I hate them. You're right, Witch King. I do. I hate those stats too.
Not a Moneyball person.
No.
Yeah.
No. I was talking about this with Tommy Dangerfield. He was in here like 2 weeks ago, and we were saying that like I understand football. I played football. I watched football. I know that like it makes sense to punt sometimes. It makes sense to go for 2 points or go kick a field goal and stuff like that. I understand that. Baseball, I don't understand at all.
Right.
Like, I don't understand why anyone would ever
Same.
sacrificial bunt. Like, it's just like, hit a homer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's a guy on third, and he wants to come home. You know what would help him? If we both got to go home. Well, and then it's 2 points. You know what I mean? And no outs. So I just...
Same way. Yeah.
I don't understand. So that baseball, I always used to joke with my father-in-law that baseball was invented for math nerds to get sunlight, just because he's a big baseball guy and he loves talking about RBIs and stuff like that. And I'm like, did they win or lose?
And it was stats like that before Moneyball. Like, it was just a stats game. It was like people who memorized the back of baseball cards, right? Like,
yeah. I do like that Moneyball came along and everybody, like, it was all about like, oh, we got this percentage and that percentage. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, yeah, but home runs are still the best. You still hit a home run. Like, like you should
try to win.
Hit it. Yeah. You know what actually really helps the team? Winning.
Right?
Okay. This is from Lil Lady Shandy, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not sure what this is in reference to. I forgot to put what clip this was from. This is off of YouTube, I believe.
This is clearly about putting photographers out of business.
I guess so. Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, you're right. This is about school photos. I buy the cheapest package, which is $17. I keep the photo to myself, make copies at Walmart if I want to, or just share it on Facebook. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point because I hate that school years... Like kid with like kid school photos.
Yeah.
The beginning and the end of the year, for whatever reason, there's a photo shoot.
Right.
But if you don't get every photo, you're like, well, I don't have the spring 4th grade photo of my kid. And the kid doesn't want to take the photo. You end up paying like $200 for 15 wallets, and they're like...
Yeah, they got the worst pose.
They're just kind of like, I feel awkward. Like, especially when your kids are going through like... early teenage, preteen years, that like weird metamorphosis phase, they're like, I don't want a picture of this.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, I don't want you to take pictures of me. This is my least favorite time in my life.
Why are you buying the package at all, though? You can take pictures of them like with your phone then.
And that's another thing, is that these days, your phone takes just as good a quality as anything else.
You should only take your kids to get pictures when they want to, so that way you're not wasting money. Like, I believe in professional photography, but yeah, school photos, no, you don't need them. No one wants them. I love my niece and nephew. Don't get me wrong. I never know what to do every year when I get their school photo. Right. I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't have photo albums. I have a digital copy of this. I'll keep it on my phone.
Can I just say that if you're not a grandparent or a parent...
Yeah.
It's weird to carry around a photo of a kid in school.
I don't, because if I get in a car accident, I don't want them to,
I know, and it's like, I mean, even if it's it's my niece and nephew, okay, that's fine. Put it on your fridge at home or, maybe on your desk, at the, or a home office or something like that, and look at it like every, like, third day, like, oh, yeah, it was my niece. Okay, cool. Well, and then you move on about your life.
Yeah.
But if it's in your wallet, that's weird. I don't even have a picture of my son in my wallet. I don't
really?
think.
Okay. So
I have a picture.
Terrible father.
Yeah.
My dad didn't either.
I have, I think, okay, I have a picture. Okay. Keep in mind.
Oh man, you don't even have a photo insert though. You're just sliding it in.
Oh, and it's not laminated. I put Scotch tape around it so it wouldn't get wet.
Yeah.
I have a picture of my daughter. Very cute, very sweet.
Totally.
She's almost 16.
I was gonna say this
is
photo.
like 12 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's how much I. But
Make
every
sure you
year,
put an image of that in the video for this so people can see how worn that's getting.
it's literally Scotch tape. Like there's
Yeah.
a strip going this way, that way, and then across.
Right.
Like a grid pattern to keep it. Yeah.
I haven't owned a wallet with a photo insert, like those little flip book things they put in them.
No.
I haven't owned one of those since maybe 15 years ago now.
No.
Because it's like, what do you do with it? It just holds my license and gets torn. Also, how long are you supposed to keep photos of your niece and nephew? Like your kids, I guess you keep them forever. But like every year I've gotten a photo of my niece and nephew, and every year I'm like, what do I do with last year's?
Yeah. Do I throw it out now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I? Okay. Well, I think we'll skip. we'll skip. I think most
Do I
of those
send
guys.
it to random prisons? Like pen pals? I don't know.
I wonder if you could do that. Like, sometimes I wonder about those charity foundations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can adopt a kid.
Right.
And it's like, do you think they just use the same, like, 6 kids, and then every year they get a new photo and send it out to a family? I've always wondered about that.
I never met the kid my 6th grade class adopted one year. I don't think he existed.
No, yeah.
I think that kid was a Nigerian prince.
So I came up with a couple questions, and I didn't have time to make slides of them.
Okay.
So I'm going to read them off of. There we go. I was going to read them off my phone. But I was thinking about this the other day. What game do you think, or what? I don't know how to phrase it correctly, but which of these games do you think is the best between tic-tac-toe, chess, and checkers? Because on some level, they are all strategy games.
They are.
They are some of arguably the original games. Mm-hmm. I would say, they were around long before anything else,
right.
but I don't know that. I don't know. Do you have questions, comments, concerns on the?
I don't know. So checkers, I suck at.
Really?
Even though I know it's like the simplest game to play, I cannot strategize in checkers. Like I am the guy who will be playing, and all of a sudden the old man I'm playing against will do one of those things where he jumps all over the board and has all my pieces because I didn't see it. I don't know if that's because I'm bad at pattern recognition or what. Chess, I'm kind of okay at. Like I know some of the gambits, I know some of the moves, I know an opening or two.
That's it. That's so surprising to me because checkers is
I think checkers is harder than chess though.
Really?
Yeah, I just. And you know what? Maybe there's a book out there that proves me wrong, but there aren't like standard openings in checkers that I know.
Yeah, there's no Sicilian defense.
Exactly.
in checkers.
I can't watch.
What
for
did you
to
do? I
something
moved the front one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Checkers is like a lot more just looking at the pattern on the board and being able to guess like what your opponent's going to do like 3 or 4 moves ahead. And I know everybody says chess is like 10 moves ahead, but you also know at least up to a certain point until you stop studying. You know, like, well, if my opponent does this, I'm going to do this because that's the appropriate response. Tic-tac-toe I hate because we know it's just whoever goes first wins if everybody plays properly, right? Like, I guess it's a tie if everybody plays properly, but it's an advantage to whoever goes first.
It is an advantage, but there are ways. I mean, I have seen people... it was weird as my son beat my dad the other day in tic-tac-toe. And my dad was like, wait, what? Hold on. Whoa. I didn't. Well, you could see
right.
like the gears like.
That's that moment. That's just that me espresso.
I would argue that tic-tac-toe is the best strategy game because it is probably the simplest.
Yeah.
Right. It is very limited in options, and it's usually over within 2-3 moves.
Right.
And. If you're going to beat someone, if you were an elite level tic-tac-toe player, I think could probably beat an elite level chess player.
Really?
Because I would argue that chess has so many different pieces and so many different movements and so many different. Oh well, I can do this and I can counter and I can do this and I can do that. Tic-tac-toe, you got to be in from the. I mean, there's no pivoting. There's no plan B. There's no. It's just boom. Yeah, you have 9 options to start
options for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I would like to argue that tic-tac-toe is the best strategy game.
Well, I know
we'll go
if
with
you've
that.
got to beat an artificial intelligence hell-bent on firing all your nuclear weapons, you want to play it in tic-tac-toe.
Exactly.
Like, I definitely learned that from a documentary or two.
Yeah, the documentary with Matthew Broderick
Right?
and
Who else? Jonathan Lithgow? No.
I actually that's I don't know if you were a Marvel guy or not, but that was one of my favorite lines. Was there was a Captain America movie where they're like hacking into some computer or whatever, and Black Widow turned around and was like, "Do you want to play a game?"
Yeah.
And then she was like, "It's from a." He's like, I saw it like that."
I love that.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool nod."
No, it is. I used to play a game called Go, which is like...
I've heard about it.
It's harder than chess is what everybody likes to say, and I think it is. But it broke my brain. I played it so much in my 20s. Like, I played it hard, and I got decent at it. Like, never, like, champion style, but there's so many different rankings. Like, I made it to an okay amateur casual player ranking. And it really broke me for playing other strategy games because it's such a different rule set than everything else. Because the point is not to, like, capture pieces or anything like that. It's just to surround points on a board. And you do it in a way, like, that just hurts. Like, when you start looking at tiled floors and you're seeing pieces, it's that kind of thing.
I've heard about that. I was about to say, I've never played it. I've never even seen it played. But I've heard that people that get into it, it gets to be one of those things, like, where it's so addictive, you start thinking in the, like, shapes and movements. It's like Tetris. Like, people who get super into Tetris see the pieces
falling.
Like,
it's that. I mean, I have like bad impulse control. So there's like 300 pieces on a board when you're like late into the game. And sometimes we would count a game up and I would lose by like a fraction of a point to someone who was just as good as me. And I would flip the board over and then spend the next half hour picking up the pieces.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah. My only justification was that it was my board.
Yeah. It's my board. I can flip the pieces if I want.
I would never do this to somebody else's.
Yeah. Oh, no, that would be disrespectful. But to your board, throw it against the wall. Yeah.
I recommend it. It's a fun game, but it will break you and make you angry and stuff like that.
What is it about games like that like humans get addicted to? That they're like, this is impossible, and then there's like, I got to keep playing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're just like, you have to figure it out. Is it just like a reward system in our brain, or is it like a challenge?
Sure.
Whoever figured that out, that was like, hey, you know what people love? Impossible shit.
Yeah.
Let's give them a bunch of impossible things to do. And they're like, and then somebody figures it out finally, and you're like, what? Oh,
right.
wow. Oh, gosh.
Well,
right.
humans don't like to be told they're dumb, right?
Yes.
And strategy games are a direct assault on your intelligence. Mm-hmm. Like two people playing a strategy game against each other, the winner's the smarter player.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you lose, you're just basically confessing you're dumber than the person you're playing.
Well, that was the whole thing about chess, right? Is that it was the game of kings, and that, like, they would even play games of chess instead of going to war sometimes to be like, well, if I beat you here, clearly I would beat you on the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which I guess is good, saves lives. Maybe we should take a page out of that book. You know what I mean?
I think we'd start doing it with real soldiers.
Well, we already do. I mean,
that is, I guess. Okay, never mind.
I mean,
you're right. That is basically.
They're just doing it. Oh, you mean like actual real people?
Yeah.
Harry Potter style.
30-mile squares.
Yeah. 30-mile grid squares.
I don't know. Video games, I think, are worse because they trigger your like predator-prey response, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Like, they're not just strategy. They trigger that, something's going to eat me, and you're doing it to yourself while you play it. So that's why you get so mad at those.
There was a game that came out when I was probably high school-ish, but it was a game about like free running, where you would run along the edge of buildings and jump from a crane to a rooftop on a skyscraper.
Okay.
And it would give me so much anxiety because, like, I didn't want to fall.
Right.
But I'm sitting on a couch in a basement underground, and I'm like, I don't want to fall into my death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I played it for like several days, and then I was just I remember one time just kind of sitting there rubbing my hands. My mom's like, what's happening? I'm like, I just keep getting this sensation I'm going to fall. And she's like, what? And I was like, she's like, you guys stop playing that game.
Programmed your brain.
I know. And I was just like, yeah, but what if I don't time the jump right? Like, it's like, who cares,
Right.
man? Yeah, turn it off and go home.
Back in the days of wired controllers, the number of time I pulled a console off of a shelf because I was, you lean back and when you're
jump
doing
scare.
right,
Yeah.
you think it's going to happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're just fucking up our brains with whatever we can.
I remember my wife was making fun of me because I played Mario Kart with the kids the other night, and we were racing, and they're getting good, so like it's getting close. Mm. And she looked at me and she's like, you had your tongue out while you were, and I was like, what? She was like, you were like like that, and I was like, did I really? And she's like, yeah, it was not a.
That's great.
It was not a good look. And I was like, oh, gosh. I was like, that's so embarrassing.
See, that's why you need a Twitch stream. People will pay for that.
yeah, that's true.
Have you ever stopped playing a game because you were scared? Like, it frightened you so much at the moment, you're like, no, I'm good.
Probably.
Or at least made you uncomfortable.
Probably. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, the original Tomb Raider, that came out when I was little. And there was a couple scenes or a couple levels where it was just a creepy background noise.
Yeah.
And I was like, late at night, N64, set up on the or maybe it was like a PlayStation, I don't remember. Set up in the basement old TV,
Right.
And it was just like, okay, I gotta go upstairs. And you had to turn it off and I'll play this when the sun's out.
Yeah, because that music knows how to keep you on edge, right? The whole time, especially
so
if you're a
much
kid.
so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mine was the original Resident Evil. And I was not like
That's a much better answer.
Yeah.
Than I was like Tomb Raider.
Well, you were a kid.
Yeah.
I was an adult. I should have known better. I was 20, I think, 21 when it came out on PlayStation. And I worked at Blockbuster Video, rest in peace.
That was always a dream job. I wanted to work there so badly.
It was also terrible.
I can imagine.
We had those videos you played on a loop the whole time you worked.
Oh.
And the year I worked there, Sugar Ray's Every Morning had just come out, the video for it. So I heard, that one. Yeah. I heard that 19 times an hour because it just looped.
No.
It was terrible. But I took a Resident Evil home one night at 3 a.m. after I got home, and I started playing it. And it got 10 minutes into the game where you first go into the mansion and you see the person kneeling by the body and your character's all like, what's this? And it's a zombie. That's the whole reason you're playing the game or whatever. And it's like, oh my God. And then it turns its head slowly and you see that computer-generated zombie chewing on the person and the sounds and everything. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Yeah, we'll play this in the morning.
Yeah. No, thanks. I do remember now that I think about it, Silent Hill. I played that for, again, 10 minutes. There was, I forgot, it might not have even been the first one, but it was a Silent Hill game. And I remember one of the very first things you do is go into this mansion house type thing, and you go up the stairs, and you can run up the stairs for 40 minutes. Oh, and it's something in it, the longer you press up, it just keeps going. But as soon as you try and turn around, you're at the bottom of the stairs again. And it was just a mind thing to trip. And I was like,
it's that hallway
what?
In Shining now.
And I was like, this one's okay. I might not. And I never finished it. And
immersive. Just remember, sports with stats are for nerds. These we'll talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of when you were talking about looping music over and over again, that to this day, JCPenney is why I hate Christmas music. Yeah? I hate it because they would play the same 7 songs.
Oh, it's terrible.
Just over and over and over again. And you just, at the end of the day, at the end of a 13-hour shift, when you've just been folding clothes, listening to Santa Baby, you're like, I'm going to just... I'm gonna lose it.
This is why people off themselves at Christmas. Yeah,
I could not stand it. Oh, it was so bad. The worst day of work I've ever had, and this is through any job, was there was a night I went out. I got probably a little too drunk. Came in the next day to work, had to work like a 13, 14-hour shift. This is right around Black Friday, so it's slammed, you know?
Yeah.
I'm hungover. I was probably even still drunk when I came in, and then slowly got more and more sober as the day goes, which is already terrible. But I had been drinking Jaeger, which and it was the last time. Like everybody has their
that
last Jaeger story, you know.
Yeah.
And when I came in, I think my boss recognized like, oh, he's worthless today. And he was like, just go stand in the candle section, and if anybody needs a candle, hand it to him. And I was like, good, I can do this. And of course, you stand in the candles, they all smell like peppermint, which is exactly what Jaeger smells like. Oh. So all day I was just like, like that, just listening to Baby It's Cold Outside, you know, like before it was controversial. And you're just like, this is hell. This is hell. This is, oh man, this is... You're just like pleading with God, like right. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry that I did this. I promise I'll be better. If you just take this feeling away, it was so
it's
terrible.
Like you're Manuel Noriega in a compound, and the U.S. military's out there, just blasting at you. That's terrible. Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like to be stuck with Christmas music just looping on you all day. I don't like Christmas music for more than like one or two songs at a time.
Oh, so, I can't stand it. And I have a very firm rule in my house that no Christmas decorations, music, anything until after Thanksgiving.
Thank you. That's how it should be.
I have to after Thanksgiving. And by the way, January 3rd, it's going back in the box.
You don't even wait for Three Kings Day? You just all that. Okay.
No. So I don't care so long as I can't see it.
Right.
So like I don't ever go in my basement really. So this is how little I go in my basement. I went down there like last April and I was like, why is the tree still up? Like that. And my kids were like, because they know it's their job to like take it down every year. And they just, every time we would be like, hey guys, go put up the Christmas stuff, they just go play like Xbox.
Right.
And so they just wanted to see how far they could get away with it. And I was like, all right, I'm not even mad. I'm kind of impressed about that. But I can't stand Christmas stuff at all. And everybody's like, you're a Grinch. And I'm like, no, I'm a working man. I don't know what to tell you. It's not magical anymore when you have to pay to hate something.
For sure.
Okay, best. This one is very broad. And I was going to have examples on the screen, but traffic. Best on-screen death. Is there one you can remember?
Huh.
I mean, it's like from Saving Private Ryan to...
There is a Peter Jackson movie.
Oh, okay.
Called Bad Taste. It's got two names. It's an Australian movie, and it's got an American name and it's Australian name. And I think it's Brain Dead in the States, and it's Bad Taste in Australia, or the other way around. But it's a zombie flick.
Okay.
And there is a scene where a guy has a lawnmower strapped to him, blade out. And he walks into a zombie with that lawnmower out.
Oh, that's great.
And it just destroys him. It is like if
you're
going
Peter Jackson movie.
Yeah, it's Peter Jackson before Lord of the Rings. He is a sick mind, and it's great. It's got zombie sheep in it. I think that's the one that has like killer sheep in it. Like it's really Australian or New Zealand. It's like
that's great. That's fantastic.
It's so obviously I don't remember most of the movie, but I remember that death with the lawnmower every time because it is just so graphic, and it's all practical effects. It's before CGI. So that stays with me.
That's the only thing I judge zombie movie shows on anymore because there's so many.
Yeah.
It's so saturated but I will judge them on unique kills.
Yep.
So that would get high marks for me because every zombie storyline has been done to death.
Totally.
And it's just it's the same repetitive, oh no, my son was bitten. Like that is like, yes, but how will you kill him?
Yeah.
That's what we want to see. I want you to see I want you with pruning shears.
Yeah.
I want, a a noose made out of like piano wire, and then you throw them off a building, and it, just
An electric guitar with an axe in it. Yeah.
yes,
Stuff.
thank you, exactly.
That's why Dead Rising is the best zombie game to play.
I loved that game. I loved how you could combine random things.
Yep.
I used to take a giant, like one of those beach umbrellas, like the really, really big ones. You could hold it out like a joust and get on a skateboard and just skate through the mall, and you would just just push them out of the way. Loved that game.
Yep.
I used
to like getting a group of people, a group of survivors, giving them each a chainsaw, and then you go through and you're just all chainsawing crowds of zombies as you walk through.
That's fantastic.
To get them back. Like 3 of them always die because the survivors in that game are so dumb.
I only ever rented that from Blockbuster. I never bought it. So I would only make it like, the whole point of the game is you have like 3 days until you're being picked up, whatever.
You gotta survive.
I'd only ever make it like a day and a half in before I'd have to turn around and give it back. And this is before the days where you could save progress on your console.
Right.
And then just swap out discs. So you always had to just start from scratch.
Oh.
And you'd start with the mission. You'd taking pictures as you fly in on the helicopter. And then like I would always make it to like the food court gun like battle.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'd always have to like,
that's a tough level too,
give it back. And then I was like, I love this so much. I just want to keep playing it.
What's your best on-screen death then?
Well, see, I'm going to take it in a very different direction. And obviously it's a bit of a spoiler, but do you remember Patch Adams? Vaguely. Robin Williams plays a doctor who makes people laugh.
Right.
And he's like, laughter's the best medicine. Well, in the movie, his girlfriend, wife, fiance, whatever, dies. And I can't even remember how she dies, but just like the gravity of it and the way it affected him,
right,
to me has always been like I was just like like it was just so heavy that I felt it. But if we're going with like actual like on screen see the death, did you ever watch 1917?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't spoil
World War One, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but they do these just long continuous takes, kind of like Birdman.
Yeah.
Where it's just like 17 minutes of like one shot, you know, and I really like that. But there's an on screen death where a guy gets shot like in the stomach. And he's just sitting there talking, and he's like, I'm not going to make it, am I? And the guy's just like, no. Like, because again, 1917, you've been shot in the stomach, there's no hospitals, there's no nothing, and they just kind of sit there and look at each other until he dies. And it was like, oof. It's so, and you just watch him get like more and more pale, and he's just kind of coming to the realization, and he's like, I really thought I was going to make it. You know, like that, and you're like, oh gosh, okay, like that's so heavy.
Yeah, so deaths like that, dramatic deaths on screen, I try not to let affect me because I'm an easy mark, right?
Okay.
Like I am definitely, I don't know what it is, but if you kill a character I've liked a whole movie, and like just suddenly kill them, I'm the easiest mark because I am the guy who's like, oh no, fuck you,
what?
No, yeah.
You just start crying,
and it does. Oh, totally. It does not matter like the genre, like the movie Serenity. I'll give a spoiler alert. It's the movie version of Firefly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Alan Tudyk,
30 years old. Yeah.
What's the guy?
Nathan Fillion.
Yep. That was like the guy with the face.
Yeah. Oh man, it's great movie if you like the series. It doesn't make any sense if you don't like the series. But there's a scene where like Wash dies just suddenly. Like you think they've done this whole thing where they survived this great battle, and all of a sudden it's just like everybody's talking, and then boom, the old movie trick of just suddenly killing someone out of the blue. And that was the first time I think as an adult I ever went, what the fuck? Yeah.
What?
Yep. But since then I've been the easiest mark. Like it's like have some people in a conversation with a character I like, and then one of them just drop dead. And I will be like, "Oh no!"
I like that.
Me.
I do like that. I don't know if you saw the Red Dawn remake.
Yes,
it's
That's very the Hemsworths, right?
Yeah, very mid-level remake. The original with Swayze and
so terribly good.
Right. And Charlie Sheen and Jennifer Grey.
I did it to make you boys tough.
Yeah. Avenge me, like that. But then, okay, so then the remake, though, spoiler alert, again, if you haven't seen this, but my favorite part of that movie is that Chris Hemsworth, he's like, they just won some big battle, and his brother's like, hey, why don't you go next door to Beth's room or whatever? And he's like, really? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, all right. And he takes one step in the hall and boom, down. And it's like, wait, what? Oh. What? Did they just, what?
It's so cheap, but also so real, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, because people die without you knowing. You don't get warning. They do suddenly die. But in a movie, it feels cheap.
I do hate the long, drawn out, like, tell my wife I love you, because it's like,
give me the nuke.
Yeah.
You trying to be a hero?
I can do it.
I'm trying to kill some bugs.
Rico's Roughnecks.
Just die.
Yeah, exactly. Just die. It doesn't need to be fancy.
Those don't get me ever. Like, because I can only care about you for about 3 seconds while you're dying.
Yeah.
And it's I've already moved on.
Especially because I know it's fake. Mm-hmm. And I know that, like, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie Tropic Thunder. Was at the beginning they had to film, like, the death scene, like, 100 times.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys couldn't cry. And then they're like, it's this, like, real intense, like, stay with me, like that. And they're just like, I can't cry, and then it like backs up and you see there's a director and like a camera guy and a sound guy just standing there watching them, and it's like, oh yeah, this is all fake.
Yeah.
So now whenever I see a death on screen, if it's long and drawn out, I'm like, that means for about 6 hours one day you laid down and went like that.
While people ate sandwiches around
yeah,
you.
people are just like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this guy's gonna get an Oscar, and he's like,
one more ugh from you.
Eyes rolling in the back. Yeah. So it's just die. If you're gonna kill someone, just
we don't need it. We don't need the Bugs Bunny scene.
Yeah, we don't need it. We don't need a monologue about like, oh, I had plans, I was gonna like, nope, shoom, you're gone. Okay, which TV hospital do you think is the best?
Oh shit.
So tough. if you were to walk out, heaven forbid, you walk out on the street after this, you get hit by a car, you get to pick a TV hospital that they take you to.
That's so hard. I want to say Cook County on ER.
Oh.
Like, for one, like, I think, see, normally I was torn because I was like, maybe I want to be at the hospital House works at. Because then if I got something rare, like, he's going to solve. But you only get House if you have the most rare problem.
Right.
So if you go in with, like, a kind of rare problem, you're dying.
Yeah.
Because no one else focuses on you.
No one really cares
But I feel like on ER, everybody who showed up in the ER got a fair shake.
Everyone got, like, the full Clooney treatment.
Yeah, you were always a guest star.
Everybody got Clooney, unless you got, what was that guy's name? Noah?
Oh, Noah Wiley.
And you're like, oh, no, he's going to pass out. Oh, no, I'm going to die. Where's Clooney?
Give me the medical student.
Where's Marianne Margulies or whatever, the Greek lady? I can't remember her last name.
Juliette Margulies.
Yeah, there it is.
Right, yeah. I think that was the most competent hospital.
I always thought that I would like to go to Sacred Heart from Scrubs.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be... I liked it because you're not guaranteed to survive.
No.
There were some sad, serious episodes of Scrubs, which is what I love. But chances are it's going to be a kind of a goofy, silly time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or MASH. They take you to the field hospital from MASH. That
would
counts.
Be great. Like, the bad thing is you're in the Korean War. But the good thing is, like, that surgery room, cracking dialogue.
Someone will be in drag, but you're gonna make it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And a Purple Heart. Why not?
Have you ever been in a hospital for more than a day? Have you ever been admitted? Like,
yes.
It is not as entertaining as it is on TV.
No,
like I was in a hospital a couple months ago, and I was like, for one, you don't sleep. Like, people interrupt you every 4 hours.
Hey, you doing all right?
Right. There's no like love triangle that you can watch between two nurses and a doctor as they figure out who loves who.
And they don't bring you their relationship problems.
No, never.
Like on TV. I could never get over that. On TV, that the nurses and the doctors have this like 3-way love triangle, and then they would talk about it with a patient.
Right. To get
and the
that
patient
wisdom.
would be like, well, let me tell you what I think. And it's like, I think y'all are unprofessional. I think I want to know how my appendix is doing. That's what I would like to know.
Right. You're a breeding ground for transference.
That's what I want to see. I want to see one realistic patient on Grey's Anatomy. Just like sitting there watching the two doctors go back and forth, like flirting, and then just being like, hey, this is inappropriate. I'm dying, and then just like pressing the call button. Like, is there anyone else at this hospital?
That's a good idea for a show. Like, every week, a person finds themselves trapped in a different genre of a show. And it's just like a real person having real life reactions to all the shit that goes on the show.
So you mean like they did that show last year where that one guy was on jury duty? And
yes.
Everyone was an actor except for him.
Yeah, that was Chris Evans in that, right?
I get
because he was on the jury.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he's famous.
But it was just like everybody was like, he was just like, what is happening?
Oh, so good.
Let's do that in a hospital.
Yes. Oh my God, that's great. That should be somebody's Make-A-Wish.
I would love that.
Right?
I would absolutely love that. Just two unnaturally beautiful doctors just like openly flirting with each other or like yelling about their relationship and you're sitting there with like a broken wrist and you're like,
right. Every 5 minutes, the emergency room just pops into action as an ambulance draws off.
Yeah.
Craziest cases.
It's always the craziest thing. They're like, the bridge collapsed, and it's like, what? Okay, why? We don't know. There was a terror attack, like in like in Duluth.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay. Which medieval torture do you think you could survive the best?
The rack. And I would love it.
The stretch one?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There has not been a day in my life that I didn't wish I owned a rack in my basement and could just lock myself in it and like set it on auto for a couple hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's every time I see those teeter hang-ups. I don't know if you've seen the infomercial.
Yeah, they're
you
like
just lock yourself
inversion.
in and then you just go inverted. And I know people have gotten stuck like that. They had to have. But I think about the rack every time.
Yep.
I'm like, that's got to be.
Yeah, and people tell me you can buy an inversion table and it's the same thing, but it doesn't look like it'd be the same. You need that, like somebody pulling.
Well, I want a hinge. I want someone with like a hunchback dressed as a court jester, cranking the wheel and like, like doing the evil laugh, and then I want someone to question me while I do it. It doesn't have to be like
specific physical therapist.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about like sins against the church. It could just be like, like what jelly is the best with peanut butter, and I'd be like, I'll never tell. Like that. Like that's.
Oh man, just the thought of your spine just stretching like that.
Now I say this, and I'm going to get destroyed in the comments for it, but I think they used to have like a giant wheel that was like a treadmill of death.
Okay.
Where they'd put like 6 people on it, and you would just stair stepper your way like until
you collapse,
until everybody else died, and then I guess I don't know if you get off or they just put new people on or what. I think I could do it. I think I could do it well enough that I'm pretty good at when there is some type of terrible, like mindless physical activity, just going completely internal and just shutting out everything, just like trudging along. That was when I was in the military. We were about to hike. They used to put an unusual amount of weight on my back, and they would call me donkey because they were like, you disappear, don't you?
Right.
And I was like, I do. They'd put something on my back, and I'd hold it, and I would just trudge along. And then after a while, they'd be like, hey. And I'd like, what? And they're like, all right, we're stopping for a minute. And I was like, oh, okay.
Someone's got to remember to stop you.
Yeah, someone's got to, hey, did anybody grab the donkey? And I'm just like, just keep going up the mountain. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you're basically the Stairmaster you could do. That's good.
I do think I could do that. I don't know. My knees aren't as good as they used to be, but I do think that I could kind of just zone out and just, especially if they let me take headphones.
Yeah.
If I could listen to a podcast or something, I could probably just, no
Okay.
offense to the other prisoners, but I think I'm making it home.
Yeah. So there's that Stephen King book, The Long Walk, that they're making a movie out of. You could do that basically, where it's a forced march until
I read that.
everybody dies.
That was a short story, wasn't it? Okay, I was about to say.
Well, it's a novella, I guess. I never know the difference.
I had to stop myself because I was about to be like, I read that book, and then I was waiting for someone to be like, it's like 7 paragraphs.
Oh no,
why
it's
don't you
long.
chill out?
It's
All right.
long. They're making a movie out of it this year. It's supposed to come out, or 2025. It's supposed to come out, and it's supposed to be good.
That sounds good.
So you could win that though. Like you would be
I
the
think
perfect
I could.
candidate.
The only problem with that book is, from what I remember, is that people were doing stuff to distract people, and there's a part where like a lady like shows her boobs or something, and then they like stop walking, and then you die. Like you have to keep the continuous pace. I could be easily distracted,
Right.
but if I can somehow, maybe if I got like horse blinders, I think maybe I could be okay. But
Do you think that transfers to other activities? Like, have you ever seen the movie They Shoot Horses, don't they? It's the dance contest where it basically the whole movie is a dance contest, and people are going crazy like because they're going into exhaustion, and everybody wants to win, and it's just fight after fight, and people are passing out on the floor. Do you think you'd be like the last person standing at that?
no, because I'm a terrible dancer.
Okay.
And I would run out. I wouldn't be able to do this for very long. They'd be like, you have to do a different move. And I'd be like, well, this is all I got. And they'd be like, all right, well, you're out. The reason I remember that movie is because there was an episode of the Gilmore Girls called They Shoot the Gilmores, Don't They? And I was like, what is this about? And then I was like, oh, there's a movie? And so I went and watched the movie. And then it made that episode make more sense. But the movie I was just like, meh.
Yeah, not that I've ever watched every episode of the Gilmore Girls.
There's
but I do know
absolutely
what you're
nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely
fast talking, like
talking. Yeah.
Pop culture reference after pop culture reference.
I loved. There was a Mad TV did a skit about Gilmore Girls one time, and they just like the theme song was like pretty white kids with problems like that, and then it was like Lorelai would always just show up randomly at like the high school and just be like talk, and then they would like talk, oh, let's get coffee, talk, like that. It was so funny, but I did love that show.
Yeah.
Which so since we found ourselves here, best boyfriend for Rory.
Man, I was Logan. Team Logan.
Yeah.
Team Logan all the way. You know
No.
what? I was like, you know what? Just embrace your upper class elitism and go with at least one guy who doesn't like look like a douche in that world.
But he's no.
I love Logan.
No,
I mean,
he
Logan
stole
before
something. He stole something from the grandparents' house the first time he came over. They stole a yacht together.
He's got problems.
He had like the Skull and Bone Society thing going on.
Just another reason. Well, look, you're not supposed to be picking who's right for you. You're supposed to be picking who's right for Rory.
Well, first of all, we need to address that Rory is a problem.
Rory is very a problem.
She has main character energy, and I understand that she is the main character.
Yeah, that's
However, she's a problem. She's a problem. She needs to fix herself. She's not right. But I was Team Dean 100%.
Really? Okay.
Until he cheated on his wife with Rory, and then I was like, oh. Then I went to Team Jess.
Okay.
So it's like the first 2 seasons, I was like, this Jess boy is no good. Even as like a 13-year-old boy, I was like, he's trouble. He's trouble, young Gilmore. Like that. But then once I saw what Dean did, I was like, pfft.
See, I thought Jess was good, but I thought Jess was bad for Rory because Rory acted terribly towards Jess.
Yes, Jess deserved better than Rory.
Totally.
But Rory did not deserve better than Jess.
I'm not saying Logan was better. I'm saying they were a perfect match.
Okay.
So I was Team Logan. Plus also, neither of them, from a power perspective, had an advantage over the other.
Now, I will say that I was a big Tristan fan for a while.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Chad Michael Murray fan.
Okay.
Which leads me into, did you watch One Tree Hill?
I did not. Oh. I was not a treer.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
A triller.
It is. Oh, it perfect.
It seemed like Dawson's Creek Plus. Every time I saw a trailer.
You could say that. It's
like, oh, we got a student sleeping with a teacher on this episode. Okay, well we did that.
So arguably, when when I was on deployment, you share hard drives with everybody.
Right.
There's like 6 hard drives. Everybody, there was like, you would gather around people's beds, and there would be one laptop, and there would be like 10 guys around one laptop, and you would hook up like plastic cups to make the speakers louder,
right.
And stuff like that. And you'd all be hunched over. And I remember, for whatever reason, one of the things we had every episode of Blue Mountain State, every episode of One Tree Hill, and every episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, wow.
That had come out because it hadn't ended yet. It wasn't right. Yeah. But everybody else wanted to watch Blue Mountain State, which is the frat boy college football, get drunk, cheerleaders, like whatever. And there was only like 7 or 8 episodes in the first season. And so after a while, I was like, guys, we got to find something else. I cannot watch this anymore. I know it by heart. Everybody else thought it was hilarious, and I kind of thought it was like mindless, just frat boy humor, which is not my thing. And it was so weird to just like, it's just like have a group of Marines arguing about like, no, we're watching One Tree Hill. Like, we're not watching Blue Mountain State. I can't see any more boobs today. I have to play Chad Michael Murray or I'm going to lose it, And
that's good.
And that was a thing, But then once people got into One Tree Hill, everybody's like, damn, this is good. Okay, all right. And sure enough, I still say of all the teenage soap operas, One Tree Hill, top tier.
Still waiting for the reboot?
I hope they don't.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
You hope
just,
they don't
it's
throw
nothing
you
sacred.
Everyone's older. Here they are now kind of thing.
Chad Michael Murray has the like cul-de-sac with like he's bald on top or whatever. And it's like the other, his brother or whatever. It's just like an accountant at a car dealership or something.
Great.
Oh.
Come on. That'd be wonderful.
Would it?
Like all the lives, like all these dramatic teenagers just grow up to be suburban normal people.
Well, I think they did that. So I think what they did was the show started off with them in like freshman year of high school.
Uh-huh.
But then they like somehow got like 6 seasons out of that, and then they did a time jump.
Yeah, you have
to like 5 years in the future,
okay,
where they're all
mid-20s,
out of college and stuff like that, and then they kind of come back, and that's like the last 2 seasons or something.
Okay.
I don't remember the specifics, but I remember being like, "Oh, I like this. This is a good." Okay,
they're
cool.
all driving
Right.
minivans.
Yeah. Who's this kid? She had a baby? What? It was stupid. But
you have to do time jumps if you have kids in roles like that because you're already casting them when they're older than they're supposed to be in the show. And then next thing you know, they're like, what is it, Carl on The Walking Dead. He's like 8 feet tall and 15 years old playing an 8-year-old.
There was someone we saw recently on a show. I can't remember. On Yellowstone. There was a kid on Yellowstone who was supposed to be 7 or 8, and then they took a break and then came back for a new season.
Right.
And he was taller than all the cowboys on the ranch, and they were like, "Whoa, you're shot up." And he's like, they're like, "How do we explain that the 7-year-old is now 6'3"? Like, what?
Yeah.
Well, that was a crazy winter, huh? Like, there's so many things about that show. When it first started, I loved it, but there's so many things that you can tell they had to like write around because there's always actors that are like divas and stuff. And I've heard terrible things about Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah, I could believe that.
That he wanted a ridiculous amount of money, so they're like, we're going to write you out of the show. And then he was like, oh, well, I'm never coming back. So then they had to like find a way to like kill him off screen or something like that. And like,
Jesus.
Oh, it's a mess.
It's more drama than is in the show.
I know, right?
I'm getting ready to start Yellowstone since it's a whole universe now. I'm like, that'll give me, like, I like to play stuff in the background during the day while I work or write or whatever. Mm. And so I try to pick stuff that will go for a while. And that looks like the one that will play.
I really like it. I really liked the first 2-3 seasons. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of fallen away from it. And I've never watched any of the spinoffs.
I was going to say, now they have like 2 prequels.
Yeah. And there's also, I mean, yeah. and I've heard good things about those shows, but I haven't put any time into it. But I liked the characters, and I liked the,
Right.
yeah, it's fun. It's all right, right? Let's see. I think. All right, that's all the ones on my phone. Let's get into this. I'm not sure which ones we've done before, but what is the best way to tell if someone is a bad person? Drinking while pregnant, abandoning a shopping cart, littering. Just some examples. Ooh. Is there something that someone can do that you're like, oh.
Man. So drinking while pregnant, you can't do it. I mean, you can't say they're a bad person anymore because so many things say you can drink while you're pregnant now, right? So you actually have to watch how much they drink.
Okay.
So then you can judge. You're like, all right, no one says more than 2 glasses of wine, Carol.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah. If you've got the large barefoot Moscato bottle and you're just taking it straight, then all right, maybe dial it back a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I guess I can't really judge because I have heard just a little bit of wine is okay.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of sushi is fine.
Right.
A little bit of
it's like we change everything every 5 years.
Yeah.
Leaning your chair back on an airplane.
Oh.
Like, we just have to accept you don't do that anymore.
Oh.
Like, we have put so many seats, and this isn't just because I'm fat and you're always leaning back on me.
No.
I don't think anybody can handle sitting in a seat and someone leaning back on them anymore.
That brings to mind, I just went to Virginia recently, and on the way out there, I was headed towards, I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
I'm 6'6".
I was going to say, you got no knee room as it is.
Exactly. So if I see emergency exit row, I'm going for the emergency exit row.
Yeah.
And I look, and there's one open, and I'm headed straight down the line to it. And I get there, and as I get there, this little old lady sits up. And she was probably mid-60s, but she was also like 5'5". And I just was like looking at her like, this isn't, ma'am, this is not for you. This is not your seat. You could fit perfectly well in any seat on this plane and not bump into anybody, not do anything. When I get on a plane, people automatically just avert their eyes.
Right.
I walked down and I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be here either. I'm sorry. It's the worst.
Yep.
And I feel that on any public transportation at all. So if you have, an emergency exit room, it isn't even all that much more space.
Not anymore.
It's like this much extra space.
Yeah.
But that is that's my shin. You know, like that's the difference of me. Like the difference of me sitting like this for 3 hours and just sitting like this for 3 hours.
Right.
And it's like, come on. If you're under, let's say 5'6", emergency exit row is not for you.
No,
I'm so sorry.
There should be an ADA clause about that. Like,
yeah,
we should have that. Yeah,
I agree 100%.
I'm 6'1". My knees have never not touched the seat in front of me, and like being a bigger guy anyway, it's like I don't want to sit next to you. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But they oversold the flight. One of the good things about being older is now I fly first class. Like, I have enough points from all my flying that I bump up almost every time.
See,
not to flex, but you know what? Fly the same airline every time.
That's one of the keys. That's one of the sweet benefits of doing comedy and traveling.
You get those points.
I am now traveling for comedy, but it is all by highway. It's all highway miles.
No,
I have barely cracked the airplane miles whatsoever. But I will stand toe to toe on anyone on Casey's points because
perfect. Yeah.
I don't know what that translates to. Probably absolutely nothing. But you might fly first class, but I could get like a free breakfast pizza.
Hey, that breakfast pizza comes in handy.
It does. You know what?
I was told early on when I first started traveling for comedy, stay in the same hotel chain, shop at the same gas stations as much as you can, fly the same airline, like just get loyalty points because for one, like hotels is great because if you get status up, you can get lounge access, which gives you free food while you're there, so you save money on food. If you stay with the same airline, once you get status, you can have free checked luggage, which if you carry merch with you, that comes in handy.
Oh, yeah.
So all that stuff. So the plus side though is on that is I can sit up in first class and it's still tight. And someone always wants to lay their seat back, and it's just like we have to just accept you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I got into a fight with a guy, not like a physical fight, but a passive aggressive fight with a guy on a flight back from New York at like 1 a.m. once. And he kept leaning back, and I was trying to like watch the video screen in front of me, which that's a brilliant thing like planes do is put the video screen on the back of a seat that can
then
yeah, it's like idiots.
so you have to kind of like
right. So I just stiffed arm his seat the whole flight. Like it's a 3-hour flight from New York to St. Louis, and I'm just like this the whole time, not letting him lean back, and he's cheering lean back, and I keep pushing forward. And we do this the whole flight. And we get off, and he looks at me, like, makes eye contact. I'm like, we're not going to fight. We're both old men. We're not going to do this. And I couldn't figure out who he was or anything. And because somebody had said, hey, they're in the band that's opening for The Who tonight.
It's Kevin Costner.
It was, I wish.
No.
It was, they were opening for The Who. The band was, and I'm sorry I don't know the name of the band, it's not my bag, but they were the Heartbreakers for Tom Petty when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were alive. And he was Tom Petty's lead guitarist, is who I kept pushing the seat up on. So somewhere he's like got a story he's telling like Roger Daltrey that night.
I had to battle with this man. Oh.
I don't even know who the fuck this guy was. What is St. Louis? They don't trust rock and roll loyalty to take a nap. But I don't care who you are. You just don't lean back anymore. So I think that makes you a terrible person.
Somebody, I don't know if it was like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but I want to say that was it Conan's band guy, or maybe it was Letterman's band guy. Was like he was also part of like a famous band or whatever.
Paul Schaefer, Letterman's band guy, was in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, yeah. So not Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but I was like, I think it was like,
yeah, same.
That would be the only guy I'd recognize, and I'd be like, oh, you were on Letterman, and he'd be like, among other things,
right? I'm also famous in my own right.
Yeah, it's like me recognizing Patrick Mahomes and being like, hey, you're a State Farm guy, and he's like, yeah.
Conan's guy was Max Weinberg too. He was in the E Street Band.
Yeah.
Paul Schaefer was in something else. I got you now, though.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yes, that's right. That's
old
right.
people music.
But by the way, I think Conan was...
Oh, brilliant.
He was... Although I did watch an infomercial just because... Sometimes I just get sucked into TV.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching this like 2-hour long... I don't know if it was an infomercial for Johnny Carson, but they kept showing clips of Johnny Carson and kind of doing like a biography of him.
And then every 5 minutes telling you could buy this DVD
set. Buy this box set of the best, But I was watching it and I was like, this is pretty good. This is pretty, I mean, I see why, I see why it spawned 7 other late night shows, like he was really funny, and still has the world record for longest live studio outburst for the Tomahawk thing, which is brilliant. And my favorite part about that, he throws the Tomahawk, lands right on the outline of the cowboy's crotch, and it's just a huge eruption. And he's sitting there, Johnny Carson's sitting there twirling the other Tomahawk, just waiting. Finally, it dies down, and he just kind of glances up and goes, I didn't know he was Jewish. And then, it goes again. And he was just like, you could just see, he's like, wait for it. Like that. And I just,
good timing.
Like, in like watching his face, because he's sitting there with like a little smirk. And he's like, I got something, and I'm just, gotta wait for it to, boom, like that.
That's
and
awesome.
It was just perfect timing. Yeah. I loved that.
What makes a person horrible for you?
The shopping cart thing.
Really?
Drives me insane.
It's
if you
so easy.
unload all your groceries into the back of your car, you close the trunk, and then you just see people just send it sailing into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Or just move it to the side so they can back out.
It's so
it drives me
put it up.
It drives me absolutely insane. They should have the like I don't know. I don't know, but they should have like facial recognition cameras.
Yeah.
And it's like after you don't return it successfully like 6 times, you just don't get a cart anymore.
Have
It's
you
like, oh,
ever
sorry.
seen the person who leaves their cart in the middle of the shop of the parking lot and then also gets into a car where they've parked on the line between two spaces?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
the most terrible person in the
Oh,
world. Like that is two bad things.
I hate a terrible parking job.
Uh-huh.
It drives me absolutely. I don't understand it. I just it is the ultimate. I am more important than everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and just to not even check when you get out of your car. I don't think I've ever been that absent-minded that I haven't like well nowadays you can get cars where you put it in reverse and you can see a 360 of the car and you're like, am I in the lines? Okay, I'm good.
Right.
But even back in the day, you'd still get out and be like, am I in the line? Am I over the line?
Yeah.
You know,
and then you get back in and you straighten.
and you just fix it. It takes no time.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, I'm running late. Okay, well, that's also your fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, well, that's also.
The people who do it on purpose so you don't get too close to their baby, like their fancy car. It's like, ugh. I don't know. I key those people. I never once keyed a car, but I key those cars.
There's, if I was the kind of person that would leave a shopping cart and I saw someone double parked, I would just send it right into their side panel.
Yeah, totally.
And just walk away and be like, oh no, what happened? You were parked bad and someone hit you? Oh, that's sad.
So terrible. We should call the police.
Wah. Yeah, I can't stand that.
It's the worst.
We had to the one of the last times my family and I went to a movie together. We were at the movie theater and we came back and we could not physically get into our car because someone was parked so close. Like, I mean, fractions of an inch.
Hate that.
And we were just like, and not only that, but they were kind of crooked and they were like not all the way forward. So it's like if we backed out, we would hit them. And it was just, and we were like, well, now we're stuck here. So we had to, I went in and I talked to the movie theater and I was like, hey, I can't get out. And they're like, well, we can't really do anything. They're like, you could call the cops and they can give the guy a ticket, but you can't really do, And so like we called the cops and they showed up and they were just kind of looking at it. They're like, yeah, man, that sucks. But they're like, I can't write him a ticket because the movie theater owns this parking lot. So It's up to them if they want to press charges. And I'm like, so
you're just stuck.
So they don't play by the rules and nothing happens?
Right.
And then they're like, yeah. And I was like, but if I back out and hit their car, he's like, well, yeah, it's your fault. I'm like, what? Like, it was the most, and I was like, this makes me want to slash their tires. And he's like, if you do that, I have to arrest you because that's destruction of property. And I was like, so you mean if I would have done absolutely nothing, called no one, told no one, and destroyed their vehicle,
gotten away with it.
I could have gotten away with it. But because I tried to do the right thing, I'm now going to... And they were like, yeah.
Taught you a lesson.
Yeah. So we finally had to wait. And then luckily, the person on the other side of us left. And we had to we all had to get in through the passenger side and slide over. And then just kind of slowly inch our way out with the cop there. And he was like, all right, little bit more. Okay, now go forward. Now, little bit more. Okay, hold on. And he was like, I'm going to help you. And he even told us at one point, he goes, not going to lie, man, if you ding their car, I'm not going to say anything.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
At least he was cool about it.
You're a better person than me because I wouldn't have called the cops. I would have just if I got to crawl in from the other side of my car and get my ass over the console, I'm hitting your car. I've keyed one car in my adult life, and it was a guy who honked at me in a hospital parking lot the day they told me my dad had cancer. I was in a parking spot, and he yelled at us when I'm trying to fucking park. So I was like, whatever. I pulled out. I drove off, drove in a circle. He went in. I came back out. I keyed his car. Don't honk me. I don't like when people do inconsiderate shit like that.
Well, I was telling you today, the reason I was running behind was because of the highway got shut down. I was stuck for an hour, in this 3-mile stretch of 55. And all 4 lanes were closed off. So you had to get off on the shoulder, go around the wreck, and then get back on. And there was this guy who was like, there was a cop in front of me, like over,
Yeah.
and a guy was not letting me come in. And I like turned and I even rolled down my window and I was like, you have to stop.
Right.
I'm going to hit a cop if you don't stop. And he was just like, no, I don't have like that. And finally the cop went and just stood in front of his car and was like,
Thank God.
just stood there like this. And I mean, I was just like, shoot this guy. Like, he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a demon. You don't fit in society. Goodbye.
You're in
like,
a land where
we're
no
just
one knows
gonna,
how to zipper merge. So
well, it's St. Louis drivers, man.
Yep.
It's the one. I love this city more than any other place in the world.
Sure.
I hate when I see it going downhill or declining. Like I want it to be great again. I want it to be, not to say any triggering words or whatever. Make St. Louis great again. Yeah. But I miss the days when it was an awesome place to be and it was cool and fun and people were nice and stuff like that, but the roads suck and the drivers are just
terrible,
abysmal, and it's
getting
just
worse every year.
And I don't understand.
It's just what happens when you lose enough population where you can go crazy in the streets, right?
I guess
we're a drag strip, just
it's
nation
just
here.
It's the entitlement. That's the thing that doesn't get. I don't understand that about drivers here. Is they're just like, no, I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
Duh.
Right.
My bumper fell off in the middle of a 2-lane road. Who cares? That's your fault.
Way,
yeah. I have to be somewhere.
Right. Yeah. No, that's we're a city with no good public transportation and no walkable neighborhoods really. So everything's car based, which that breeds that mentality. Yeah.
And just drives me absolutely insane. Do you have any time? So Broadway up there, it's split. There's northbound Broadway and southbound Broadway,
right.
and they're a block apart. And the number of times I see people that are like, they just do a U-turn and go the wrong way down, and you're like, what are you doing? And they're just like honking at other people, like move. And you're like,
I live
insane.
in South City where it's one-way street after one-way street, right? And most people do not like going around the block, so they just go wrong way up, these side streets.
Why wouldn't I go? Yeah.
With the one vehicle length with side streets, it's like, you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah. Oh, that's so annoying. All right, man. Well, we just hit like an hour 15.
Look at that.
Yeah.
We're good conversationalists.
Do you have any shows to plug? Any upcoming dates you want?
When does this go up? Let's see.
Next week, actually.
Next week? Okay, so on the 4th, I'm doing a guest spot at Jeremy Hellwig's got that benefit show for Asheville.
Oh, nice.
At, what is that, Heavy Anchor. So I'll be there. And then on the 11th, Molly Ambergey's Casually Happening.
At Golden Hoosier?
Golden Hoosier, yeah. Me and JC Sabal are co-headlining it. Clay...
Beiersdorfer?
Thank you. Yep. I've never worked with him, so I can't say his name. I've heard he's hilarious.
He's a great, he's
really
on
it, and Kate Barton's on it. So, and
Clay,
then Molly's throws a good show.
Clay and I have written some sketches together, and we've done a couple shows together, and we did STL Tonight. It was Gieselman's and Teal's thing.
That's cool.
And he's really funny. He's a good hang too.
Yeah, no, everybody tells me he's funny, and I'm gonna meet him, and he's gonna be like, Chris, we've been on 9 shows together. And the only thing I could say is I'm old.
Yeah,
blind.
I'm sorry, man. I hate that. I that happens to me more often than you think. Not that like I can recognize people, but I don't remember names very well.
Right, that's all it is.
And so it's like I hit people with, "Oh, hey, buddy, what's up?" Like that, and that's me like. Tom, Chris, Bill, Cliff, like just trying to go through. And it's very rarely that I will see someone that I'm like, I don't ever remember seeing you before.
Right.
And that's the worst.
Totally. I try to be easy on myself because, we do a thing that's like summer camp, right? We see so many people like once or twice a year. And when we see them, we're hanging out. We're like doing all these things you would normally do with friends. So there's that thing that you feel like you should always remember somebody's name. But think about doing that 52 times a year.
I always, whenever I run into a comic that I've worked with before, that especially, one's not in St. Louis, I'll go up to him and be like, hey, what's up, man? I don't know. We did a show back in blah, 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 blah. And I give them contacts and I'll be like, I'm Eric. And they're like, oh, yeah, what's up, man? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, because, and sometimes they'll be like, yeah, dude, I remember. And you're like, well,
if anything, they'll remember one thing about that weekend at least. And that's cool. That's all you need, right? So they know you're not a psycho about to stab them.
Yeah. We did that show together where that lady bit everybody. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which, that happened to me. I had that anniversary not too long ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I wasn't actually, so I was hosting, there was the guy featuring, his name was Jack Asadorian, Jack Jr., Kate Quigley was the headliner, and this lady, I was also working the door, and this lady just lost it in the middle of the show, like stood up, flipped the table, was like, oh, I'm sick of this place, and like stormed out, and everybody was like staring at her like, what was, I mean, because it was completely, it wasn't like the comedians were like, look at this stupid bitch, blah, 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 blah. Like she just...
Out of nowhere.
Like it was, I mean, it's like people weren't talking about like politics. They weren't talking about anything. Like it was just the most random thing. She flipped the table, started to storm out. The owner was like, stop her. She hasn't paid. And so I got in front of her. I'm like, whoa, you can't leave. And then he got involved and like there was yelling. And then she shoved someone, and then I stood in the way and she punched me, and then we were like trying to hold her back and she bit me. I've got a little scar on my thumb here from this lady. Jesus. She bit me there and on like my forearm or something like that.
Now, your entire time in the military, how many times were you bit?
Very few.
But working at a club in Cape.
Yes, but working at the comedy club in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, with myself and another door guy named Mark Hukin. We both, he got it worse than I did. She latched onto his bicep and she left a bruise. I mean, his arm turned purple and it was so weird. I had to go into the VA the next day to get like shots. And I was like, I think I need to get like tetanus shots or maybe rabies shots or something. And they were like, why? And I was like, I was bitten. And they go, oh, by what? And I was like, a lady?
Human being.
A Karen? Like that. They were like, okay, where? What? And I had to explain that. And so now every time I go in there is one nurse that's like, anybody bite you lately? I'm like,
the rest of your life.
No, can't say that.
That's in your VA file.
Yeah, it is. It is 100%. Yeah. On this, November 22nd, 2019. Patient was bitten by a woman, on the arm and hand.
Constantly listed as a bite risk.
Yeah. And it's so weird because now every time there's a full moon, I just call and report black people for crimes they didn't commit.
That's what happens. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's like, be like, they're in the public pool. And it's like, man, that's not and I'm like, hang up.
Hang up. Then don't even remember it the next day.
Yeah. What? I would never say that.
The only way to stop you is with a bullet made out of Groupons.
Yeah. I can. The only way to convert me back is to like eat a Tupperware lid or something like that. Yeah. All right. Well, you want to plug your social media real quick?
Yeah. On Instagram, it's Chris D. Sear, and on TikTok, however you say it.
That tickety-tock.
On that tickety-tacked thing, Chris D. Sear. And on Facebook, it's the Chris Sear.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Not to be confused with
other
Chris Sear.
Yeah. Well, technically, I like to say I'm the other Chris Sear, so no one can accuse me of othering someone else.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
Like,
all right.
These days and ages. But, yeah. But also follow the other Chris Sear. He's cool, too.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's also a really nice guy. Yeah. Chris, we know you're listening. All right. We love you. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks so much. And I'll see everybody next week. Bye.